I just got done playing SKALD for about 6.5, 7 hours. It comes out tomorrow, and there's a lot of people within our community that I really think would like this game, and people outside the community that, I don't know, I think maybe you guys would like SKALD for the same reasons that I do, and so I figured I'd talk about them for a few minutes, at least my first impression. SKALD may change, 6.5 hours in, comes out tomorrow, so maybe I have a few thoughts that will help people decide whether they're interested or not. And if it's a thing for you, then awesome, pick it up, because the price point's pretty damn good. It's like $15 US, I think, at release, which is really cool for a CRPG. So let's talk about that. CRPGs obviously are a big thing right now, right? You have the Warhammer CRPG that came out, which would be Rogue Trader. You have Baldur's Gate, which was really, really cool, and obviously is responsible for a huge part of the interest that people have in the genre as a whole. But CRPGs have just existed for a long time. We're just kind of getting this big wave of popularity. And SKALD launched at a wonderful time for that, because people have finished the other ones, have some time for that. But SKALD is unique in that where the genre is commonly like a classic retro connected genre, SKALD kind of goes a step further, and it embraces that, but it does it in a unique way. So I guess we'll talk about visually where this game is at, because I have a big connection to the retro first-person shooter community and adjacent communities, and there's like two different types of retro graphics that you can do. There's like retro-inspired that are meant to kind of stir up nostalgia in a player, and then there's like hardline retro imitation. And SKALD does this really unique thing where somehow it lands just kind of smack dab right in the middle of the two, where when you're doing like hardline retro style, you're trying to be faithful to an original genre, an original vision, a specific time period. And so where SKALD is referencing pretty clearly like late 80s, early 90s, choosing to limit itself and embrace limitations with color and resolution and stuff like that, it also seems like the artists have learned from, modern art techniques having to do with color composition in computer games, and taking cleaner art and not just running it through a pixel filter where it's imitating it, but actually doing kind of a similar process to overpainting, right? Like you have this beautiful higher res picture. We've seen some of the concept art and promo art where it's a higher resolution version of maybe the title screen. But then you look at the classic retro inspired version of that, and it's very clearly a 1-to-1 conversion in positioning, size. But then it takes the colors and it takes the things and it reinterprets them rightly for the particular resolution and color limitations. And so it's this really unique thing, right? Where it still is being true in some senses, but it also has kind of surpassed what we understood looked good back in the day. So I'm kind of in love with the art style, but I don't think that's the best part of the game. I think it's a cool part. I think it can capture guys like me who are, late 30s, early 40s, and really help us to kind of pay attention to this game. But it's not the best part. We could talk about the music. The music is really cool. The music is great. The music is so good you don't remember it. It's just kind of part of the game. It's in the background. And there's never a time where you go, oh, this song, I'm tired of this. Just please make this song go away. And it's not like that. It's just there, and it fits perfectly, and you're not going to catch yourself humming along to it, but it nails what it's supposed to do. Combat. The combat's awesome. It's simple. You're talking like four direction turn-based strategic combat. It makes zoning really easy. It makes blocking really easy. You're not dealing with angles, so it actually, even though it seems like it's more simplistic because you can't attack at angles with melee, it's kind of more strategic in the idea that you have more control over what's happening, especially when you get into like ranged units and terrain blocking and stuff like that. But the combat's cool. It does its job, but even then, it's just kind of, it's there, and it's not a thing that I would rant about loving. So it's kind of interesting because I come away from this game really, really, really impressed. And it's like, why am I so impressed? what takes these three elements and pulls them together so well to the point where I'm sitting at dinner and I'm like, oh, I'd really like to talk about this game for just a few minutes. I'd like to get a recording. I'd like to throw it up with some gameplay. And I realized it's the expression of the world building, but specifically in how it's written and delivered. Cosmic horror is a huge part of my life, which is silly because, I'm a normal person. I have kids and go on walks and all this other stuff, and it's like I haven't had an opportunity to read as much as I like to, but I love cosmic horror and eldritch connected literature, and I think the reason I love that is because it's a really humbling type of literature, right? It's neat to have the shock value of people are so small, the universe is so big, it's dangerous for us, and we aren't even worth the time of greater beings that exist out there, and like this really cool fiction, right? But there's always this connection historically when you talk about original authors that are doing cosmic horror, where they understand it's actually about space, but they're using the ocean very commonly as kind of a window into that, because we don't know what's down there, and it's just as dangerous as space for us, and it's a kind of mentally obtainable. But SKALD takes both and hands them both to you, and so you get the greater kind of universal cosmic horror, and then you get the down-to-earth danger that works within fantasy, and then you zoom back out to space and you realize that things are really, really, really big and dangerous, and then it throws in other interpretations and popular subjects having to do with horrors that have infected the world and are seeping through the crust and changing the universe, and that we're at their mercy. And so it takes this idea, right? That's just really fun. You see in these other games. You see them in Bloodborne. You see them in Fear and Hunger, which we're playing, and several other things. And it delivers them in, how do I say this without insulting myself? I don't think I have run into a game that feels like it's my reading level in a long time. I feel like I'm at a common reading level. Like, I know big words, I can say big words sometimes, and usually I can tell what a big word is and what it means just through context clues, but a lot of time I catch myself pretending to know. SKALD, and I don't know if it's going to be this way for everybody, but it is for me, it's at this perfect reading level where I'm like, I get this. And I'm not saying it's dumb, it feels very intelligently written. And it's really evocative in the way it makes you feel and the way it presents these things. But I never feel dumb, and I kind of feel smart sometimes, and that's cool, especially when you're dealing with the subject of cosmic horror, because people want to understand those things as best they can when they're reading them and when they're engaging with them. And you don't want to actually be lost because you don't know the word. You want to be lost because you don't know the mystery of it. And SKALD takes these elements, the art style and the music and the combat and the world building. It takes these four things and it glues them together in the way that it presents it and the way it reads and the way it connects to the player, specifically like in its writing. Like, its writing is fantastic, and I'm kind of in love with this game. And again, I'm only 6.5 hours, but my initial like position is, yeah, I think I highly recommend this game. Especially if you enjoy CRPGs, Baldur's Gate, things like that. Most people, I mean, it's become a very popular genre, and I think this is a really, really good execution of it. So I would encourage you to pick up SKALD. By the time I get this video out, it's probably going to be in the morning, and you will be able to grab it on Steam. But yeah, big props to the writers and the dev team. I don't know how big they are. I haven't really looked into it much. I just really like this game. So yeah, big thumbs up so far with SKALD. We'll probably do a review at the end, I think. A more organized thing that's not just my initial thoughts, but I didn't want anybody missing out on it. I really want people to enjoy things, and I think this game is really enjoyable and takes a genre that is kind of generally mysterious and makes it accessible to normal dudes like me and maybe you. There you go.